Good Tuesday afternoon, Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. We have, of course, a Hurricane Milton here, Category 4, kind of going back and forth from a 4 to 5. It's located just north of the Yucatan Peninsula, and currently we have recon aircraft flying through it right now. We do have a reconnaissance, a little bit of data we'll show you here in a second, from a little bit more last night. Anyway, Category 4, generally in that mode, gradually weakening, a little bit of shear being pulled, you can see in the upper levels, a lot of it being elongated and back up to the north and west. That means there's a southwesterly flow aloft. The jet stream is shearing this out just a little bit, so hence that's what we're thinking the weakening is taking place. Of course, it doesn't really matter. What's going to end up happening as it weakens, the radius of the strongest winds are going to be expanding, so consequently a greater area of Florida making landfall, even though it's weakening, is going to see it. So this is going to develop a storm surge, of course, on its right front quadrant. In this case, this particular system moving in from southwest to northeast. You can see that the right ahead quadrants are kind of indicated here. And with the weakening system, eventually it gets down to a Category 2, gets off the coast, and of course kind of falls apart as it goes into a tropical storm with a lot of shearing at that point in time. A lot of that taking place with this kind of a subtropical jet that's elevated across northern Florida and back a little bit closer to the Gulf coastal region. Milton right now is in the process of crossing some of the warmest waters, as it has been with the loop current out here in the Gulf of Mexico. And of course that current then cuts across as the Gulf Stream and then up the Florida coast. It doesn't appear, though, the wind shear is going to start to tackle it a little bit more. It's good news, except with that expanding wind field. Here's the official forecast, of course, from the National Hurricane Center, the 11 a.m. update. And this early afternoon on this Tuesday, you can see a major hurricane is about to hit Florida, and then as it makes landfall, down to a Category 1 or 2, and then gradually does weaken. That's the official forecast. And this inside ballpark, basically less than 48 hours out for landfall. The model tracks, of course, are very tight with all the recons and good data simulation. There's the very tight model. It looks like it's going to be just a little bit south of Tampa Bay, but you can see that it cuts across central Florida. The rain, the heaviest rain, flooding rains are going to be associated a little bit to the north of the track, as it looks like it'll suck in some drier air and kind of display some of that heavier rainfall. So it won't be as a symmetric hurricane as it moves inland, but still it'll be a very major hurricane and really catastrophic for Florida, no doubt about that. Milton's intensity guidance, this is of course current and 12 hours out. You can see it initialized this morning at about 8 o'clock this morning, so we're talking about 8 p.m. Some models really do reduce it with some eye wall replacements. The inner eye wall is going back and forth right now. Not a whole lot of an eye, but that's going to be changing off and on. So a very powerful hurricane, no doubt about it. No longer a Cat 5, but a Cat 4, and it's going to be bouncing around for a while, for another 12 hours or so. And by this evening, looks like they're going to start to fall, with most of the model spaghetti here showing an intensity loss and going down to Cat 3, eventually Cat 2, Cat 1. Looks like landfall is going to be somewhere around 40, 41, 42, 43 hours out from 12Z earlier this morning, 8 o'clock. So if you draw a line, basically you're still looking at a strong Cat 2, Cat 3 making landfall, crossing through Florida, and then out the other side of Florida. Looks like it'll be going into the Atlantic as a Cat 1, Cat 2, somewhere in that vicinity. I do also want to say that this is not the official forecast, but this is data from last night. And so as the recon flight would fly through, you would see the lowest barometric pressure basically here. And of course the aircraft then flies through, takes its readings, does its dropsons, and then goes out of the hurricane and gets away from it just a little bit, and then makes that next flight inbound. And what you can notice is that the barometric pressure has actually risen with the next inbound. And this is taken earlier last night. We don't have the latest data up there yet, as that's currently in progress. Up in our neck of the woods in Vermont, These are minimum temperatures from earlier on this morning. You can see there are some pretty chilly temperatures in a few spots here. One of them 33. This is again up in the areas around Canaan, Vermont. Also had a 33-degree temperature here locally in Worcester, Vermont, and a few others. But we do have frost advisories in effect. This is going into effect for tonight through 9 o'clock tomorrow, Wednesday, and basically for Lamoille, Washington, and Orange counties. That carries over, of course, into parts of New Hampshire and so on and so forth. First frosts of the season, a little bit more widespread, probably somewhere about 2 to 5 degrees cooler than what we saw earlier on this morning. That's it from here, Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights.